Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So it's that time of year again. Time to find out those best movies of the year 2024, where, we had a lot of hits, a lot of great movies. However, we can only pick 10 for this, list. I know it's so unfair that only 10 can go on this list, but honestly, there are probably a lot of movies that deserve to be on this list, but in my opinion, these are the top 10, in my opinion, that really were the ones that hit hard in the movie industry this year. So let's get right to it. Coming in at number 10, I have Heretic. So, this movie came out back in Thanksgiving and is actually one of Hugh Grant. It actually is Hugh Grant's first horror film, role. And after I saw this movie, it only made me think, why hasn't Hugh Grant done more movies like this? Because, it was pretty incredible. When I say 2024 was the year of horror, it definitely was. This one was very simple, a lot of dialogue. So, a lot more dialogue than you would get in the usual, horror flick. But it makes you really think. A lot of thought process. Religious conversation and, two people questioning their faith. The adaptations about how, religion has changed over time. It was a really risky kind of movie to make, but also it was all really good. And the creepy vibe that Hugh Grant carried this whole film, wow. Without a doubt, I really hope he gets to make more horror films. Here's the thing about me and horror. The one horror genre that really doesn't get me more than anything is found footage, because they usually don't do well for me, because they usually don't feel so real. But I can't deny that Late Night with the Devil felt very real. It's a found footage movie of a talk show host's last, broadcast, where he invites a possessed girl and her psychiatrist to, be his guest on his talk show. And the thing is, David Dalchmont really does well, like he has done these past few years, carrying this film and showing the behind the scenes footage as well as things go on this last broadcast. It really is intriguing, and this movie even has some surprising moments. So, for a found footage film that usually doesn't pique my interest, that actually get my interest, wow, that is pretty well done. I feel like I'm going to get ripped on a lot for, not putting this movie higher, but however, I feel like this is where it needs to be. But I'm putting, at number 8, I am putting Deadpool and Wolverine. Yes, the movie that is kind of sort of saving the Marvel Cinematic Universe in its own way, with nostalgia bait and a forgettable villain. But it's carried by the amazing chemistry of Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. This movie pretty much only had one goal in mind, and that was to, bring everyone's favorite bad-mouthed mercenary back with, into a studio that has pretty much lost its drive after Endgame. So, it does its job, and it's a great watch, but overall, it's still not going to probably save the MCU, because MCU will probably just go back to what it was doing even after this film has gone and broke box office records. I was a big fan of Dune Part 1, so of course I was a big fan of Dune Part 2. Dune Part 1 was pretty much all the build-up. Dune Part 2 is where you get pretty much all the action in this movie. This sci-fi, political epic that's about, House Atreides getting their revenge. It's a really amazing flick, but what makes this movie so incredible is actually not even Timothée Chalamet. It's, of course, Timothée Chalamet, Denis Villeneuve, and Greg Fraser is, what made this movie so incredible, along with Hans Zimmer. But Greg Fraser is the real, hero of this film, because he makes the cinematography work look incredible here. He got an Oscar for, Dune Part 1 for cinematography, and I'm betting he is going to get an Oscar for this one, too. Coming in at number 6 is the movie that probably was the most surprising for me this year, and that was Wicked Part 1. When it comes to, musicals, they don't really do it for me, but this one was very powerful and did intrigue me, and that was the reason why I'm adding it into my list, because I honestly thought this movie was going to bomb like crazy. It was going to be trash, and it was not. It was the complete opposite of that. And honestly, when it comes to musicals, unless it's a biography movie about an artist or anything like that, usually that's where I draw the line when it comes to musicals. But this one definitely piques my interest, and I cannot wait till Wicked Part 2. Coming in at number 5, we are now moving to movies that are animated, and the first animated movie that I am putting in here for this top 10 is The Wild Robot. The animation looks great, even though, it technically kind of looks like it was made with a little bit of AI in there. But the actual story is actually what intrigues me. It kind of reminds me of a Studio Ghibli film, which I am a big fan of. And also the grasp of nature and also those moral lessons that this movie teaches. It's a real grabber here because, it's a movie about finding your purpose in life. Because, this robot has no clue what they're supposed to do. They've always had a purpose, and now they have to find their new purpose when it comes to helping this baby goose. It's a real great animated film, and without a doubt worthy of being on this top 10. Coming in at number 4 is another animated film, and also, last time I checked, possibly number 1 when it comes to making the box office. That is Inside Out 2. That's right, Inside Out 2 is possibly the best-selling box office of 2024. It is the movie that I was hoping would help Pixar, since I hadn't seen a good Pixar movie in a while. But I was expecting it to be good, like Inside Out 1, because with the Inside Out franchise, there's really no true villain except yourself, because it's about, this story of people and what they go through, specifically, of course, referring to Riley and what she goes through as she's growing up. But it's a movie that is relatable to every person who has been there. And the interesting fact is that all the emotions, they are all trying to help her, even though at one point they feel like they're not doing the right thing for Riley because they don't get to pick what she wants to be in her life. It's just essentially a coming of age story that everyone can connect to in some way. And now we are at number 3. We are back in the horror genre with holiday horror. That's right. At number 3, I am putting Nosferatu there. I actually didn't want to make this video until after I saw Nosferatu and then did a review on that and then actually see where it fit in here. And I was honestly thinking it was going to make the top 10, but not number 1. But, however, it stars Nicholas Hoult, Lily Rose Depp, and, of course, Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok. It is definitely a holiday horror classic that Robert Eggers has brought to us again, along with, The Witch and, of course, The Lighthouse. It really plays on the psychological horror of what is, real and what is not real. But the thing is that it had also moments that I was not expecting as well. It really does well, and honestly, the CGI is hard to spot in this film, and the best CGI is what you can't see. And honestly, without a doubt, Bill Skarsgård, again, is terrifying. And now we are in the top 2, and coming in at number 2 is actually probably the most interesting film I have seen this year, and that was The Substance, starring Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley. This was like Margaret Qualley's breakout role. This movie was seriously under the radar here, like not a lot of big promotion, but I don't understand why, because this movie was shockingly incredible. It's a movie about, wanting to relive the past, wanting to be your younger self again, that craving of youth, a star who is old, who does not have it anymore and wants to go back to that life. It is like shocking. And another shocking thing is the body horror element. It is interesting because I never could tell if Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley's characters were either two separate people or, the same person but with a different consciousness, like a split personality. I never could really tell that. But, overall, though, it is still an interesting body horror film that I think, David Cronenberg would be proud to watch. Coming in now at number 1, honestly, I was expecting a horror film to be in the number 1 spot, but actually, it's not. It's not a horror film that I feel should deserve this number 1 spot. What I put at number 1 is The Bike Riders. Now, let me explain why I feel The Bike Riders is the number one film, in my opinion. And it's because it is a movie that keeps drawing me back to it. It's a movie that I love watching, even though I'm not really into motorcycle clubs or anything like that. Because, I mean, I don't ride motorcycles or anything, but I have liked TV shows that have been made about them, like Sons of Anarchy and The Mayans. But this is completely different because it is technically a true story about the outlaw motorcycle club, though technically they are called the Vandals here. But, I mean, the story is so interesting about how this simple club of motorcyclists who just love talking about motorcycles, getting together to hang out, turns into a symbol of power to other people. And they want a feeling of that, you know, to be respected and have that kind of power in their lives. Of course, you know, we have Tom Hardy, who plays the head guy of the motorcycle club. You have Austin Butler as well, one of the guys in the club. But, I mean, the relationship between, you know, these characters and the club and the characters in their life is also very interesting as well. It's just a great film overall with a great story that tells, you know, how something that can be fun can turn into something dangerous as well. And that is why I am putting The Bike Riders in the number one spot. All right, so those are my top 10 best movies of 2024. But before I go, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who comes to support me. I appreciate every subscribe, every comment, every like, dislike, every view. I appreciate everything you guys come to do to watch me, you know, spit and chat about, you know, movies that come out every year or old movies that reach a certain anniversary age. But I mean, it's just nice to know that there are people who are enjoying and still watching me, because I mean, this could be any other YouTuber out there, you know, doing this, and you guys could be watching, but you guys still take the time to come see me, and I am super grateful for that. If you are a long-term subscriber or a short or just subscribe to me, or if you're even just a casual viewer who just comes to check me out and never subscribes, but may drop a comment or, you know, give me a thumbs up here and there, I appreciate every single thing you guys do for me. I am so grateful. This means from the bottom of my heart, I am grateful for every time you guys come to check out my channel. So thank you. All right, well, like I said, this has been my top 10 best movies of the year. I'll soon have my top 10 worst movies of the year. But if you enjoyed this top 10 best, or if you feel like there should be another movie in here, or I should have subbed out another film, please comment that down below here, because I'd really like to know your thoughts of what you think the top 10 best films are of 2024. Also, if you like my other videos, you can check out here more on my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope everybody has an epic new year.